Hi, welcome to your practice. We are getting started today with a yoga and Pilates mobility flow. So we'll be emphasizing movement through the hips, helping to restore a little bit of connection and release through the low back, but then also mobilizing through these areas to make sure we stay safe and strong. So grab your mat and let's get started. So we're going to start today on our mat at the back of the mat. So you have as much mat in front of you as possible. And let's go ahead and start where we're just taking a standing roll down. So feet are right underneath the hips. We start to feel a little contraction through the belly, arms just down long to the side. And then we start to roll down through the spine. Now, as I'm rolling down, I'm going to keep a softness at the knees and feel like I'm deep scooping through those abdominals, trying to create space through our back body as we engage through the core. Once my hands reach all the way down to the ground, and you can have as much bend into the knee as you may need to get there, we'll take a pause, just kind of let the head shake yes or no. Make sure you're not holding any additional tension in the neck and the jaw. And then reconnect with your core as you start to scoop, rolling up through your spine. Good. When you come up nice and tall, we'll take the hands behind the back, fingers interlace, press the hands away, lift your chest, lift your heart. Now as I heel toe my feet just a little bit further apart, and then I'm going to forward fold over the thighs, letting your arms just reach off the back as best as you can. If that feels uncomfortable for your shoulders, know that you can always just rest your hands onto your low back. And now the hands will come down to the ground. Then we'll start to walk ourselves out just into a quick plank position. And if you'd prefer to do this on your knees, know that's always an option. Take a moment though to feel those elbows just kind of spiraling towards the ribs. Feel a little effort and energy of weight back towards your heels. And then the knees will come down onto the mat. Knees go wide, toes come through to center. We're rocking our weight back towards our seat and then rocking the weight forward very slightly out towards those hands. Noticing as we create this movement, we create this subtle opening also through the hips, through the inner thighs, the back of the pelvis into the low back. So there's a lot going on with just this simple rocking movement. Good. Now this next time you rock your weight back, let's hold it and then continue just in that child's pose position, letting your head just relax heavy in between the shoulders for a few breaths. You can always walk the hands a little wider if that helps you give just a bit more space for the shoulders. I know I have a lot of tightness across the front of my shoulders in particular. As we start to transition now back into a tabletop, knees will come underneath the hips, hands are right underneath the shoulders, and we're moving into an arm and leg extension. So a little bit more Pilates focus here. Left leg will reach out long and the right arm extends. Feel your left shoulder activate down your back, and we tap the arm and leg down to the ground, and we lift. Notice when you're lifting your leg in particular, that we're not kicking it to where the back would be in an arched position. I want you to feel control through the leg, control through the hip and shoulder, but also feeling into that connection through the abdominals. Good, we'll take just these last 4. Continue to feel your left shoulder move down your back, maybe even a little softness at the elbow. Good, reaching, breathing for these last 2. And that last one, hand and knee back down. Again, take a little pause just off the wrists. Wiggle through the fingers even. And then let's switch sides, shifting back onto your hands and knees. Right leg extends out, left arm extends forward. Tap the arm and leg down, reach and lift. So as I'm lifting my leg, I'm trying not to spiral my hip open to where it would feel like I'm tilting or tipping through the shoulders or the hips and pelvis. Just trying to keep as much pressure and tension off the back as we then strengthen here through the hips, through the glutes, through the core. Good, we'll take it again just for these last 3. Let's reach here for 2. And that last one, hand and knee back down. Again, we'll take a quick child's pose. I'm taking my knees a little wider just to give more space through the hips and belly. And we'll take both hands over to one side of the mat. And then we'll take the hands to the other side of the mat. I was gonna say your other hands, but I was like, oh gosh, I hope you don't have other hands. All right, as we make our way back, let's come through to our seat. Continuing with our Pilates core warm-up. So you're sitting on your sits bones, tailbone connection. Hands can be behind the backs of the knees for some support. Otherwise, arms can just reach long. And we're starting with a seated roll. So we're rolling down just about halfway into what's called our C curve position. And then scooping through those abdominals, coming back up nice and tall at the top. Good. Feel that the shoulders maintain, again, just kind of soft down and away from those ears. Doesn't have to be where you're like yanking your shoulders down with all of your might, but it's just like a slight hug underneath those armpits, feeling those lat muscles engage. This next time when we roll into our C curve position, we're gonna add on a march and a hold. So we maintain that C-like shape and we float one leg tabletop, tapping it down. Other leg tabletop, tapping it down. As you're marching, can you maintain that same shape through your spine? So we're not rocking back, I'm not arching. I wanna keep those ribs gently knit in and down. So we'll march here just a few more times. We have one more variation in the C curve. Last 4. Good, reach for 3. 2. Last 1. Can you hold your C curve for a few more moments and take those hands to heart center? Rotate from side over to side. Now to help keep from feeling like my hips and my low back are swiveling around, I like to hug my thighs towards one another and really feel that inner thigh to low belly connection as we stimulate through the side as well. Good, maintaining this rotation for just these last 4 times. Good, take it for 2. And that last one, back through to center, and we lift ourselves up. Take a counter stretch with me where the soles of the feet come together. The heels do not have to be super close into the pubic bone, but the hands can reach towards the feet, can just come down onto your mat. But we'll take just a gentle forward fold. Again, taking a moment to let your head relax. Let your shoulders, your back relax a bit. And then as we lift ourselves up, let's take a quick stretch before we move on. So you can keep the same shape of the legs. Right hand's gonna come down onto the mat behind, left hand reaches over to that right knee. Grow a little taller on your inhale. And then exhale, see if you can twist just a touch over to that right hand side. Notice that you're not over yanking from the neck and really try to feel into the twist through the rest of the spine instead. And then we'll unwind, we'll take it over to the other side. Grow taller, inhale, and then belly connects as we rotate, taking it over to the other side. Okay, now as we come back through to center, close the knees, arms reach back out in front. We're gonna this time roll all the way down onto our back. So once you're down, let's go ahead and plant the feet firmly onto the mat, just about hip distance apart. We're getting ready for a bridge variation. So this is a Pilates bridge versus a yoga bridge, which would be more of a back bend. I want you to keep your abs active, and we're lifting the hips just straight up into a hinge and tapping back down with control. What we want to feel is glutes, booty, right? And those hamstrings engaging, driving down with our heels. But then as we're lifting, we're keeping those abdominals still nice and contracted. So we're not just letting the belly kind of flare and puff up towards the ceiling. Now our hips, when we talk about mobility, when we talk about strength of the hips, they need strong glutes to help support. So when we're working on focusing or helping strengthen and support one area, we got to think about the other areas that contribute to that strength. Let's take just a few more of these hinge bridges before we lift and hold. Good, last two here. Now that last one, when you lift up, pause. Heel to your feet, maybe just one more inch closer together. Keep the left leg down, and we'll extend our right leg straight up to the sky. Reaching the leg forward, stacking back up with control. Notice when you lower that right leg that you're not letting your right hip drop super far as well. We should feel a lot of work through that left side. Left glute, left hamstring, abs are staying engaged. Nice job. Take it again for those last two. And that last one, keep the hips lifted, just switch the leg. Right foot comes down, left leg extends up, sweep the leg forward, stack up with control. So feeling that relationship between the movement and your breath, finding that exhale each time I lift. For these last three, good, we reach for two. And that last one, both feet down. Can you keep your hips lifted for one last variation? We're gonna take just little booty pulses going straight up and down. If you'd like to add on just a little extra challenge, lift your heels and pulse. So then you'll get your calves, your hamstrings, and your glutes. If that puts too much strain on the knee or on the ankle, just keep your heels down. Let's continue to pulse here. 10 more seconds. Good, keep reaching. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll lower all the way down. Take your legs long, take your arms long, and just reach from fingertips to toes. Maybe even wiggle through fingertips and toes for a moment. All right, we're hugging the right knee into the chest. Taking just a few moments here where as I hug my right thigh in, I'm gonna feel my shoulders heavy down to the ground. If your back's feeling a little tender, know that you could always bend the opposing leg. And we'll start to draw just some really subtle circles with the right hip. Go in one direction a few times, and then we'll switch, going opposite direction. Good. From here, keep the bottom leg long if possible. Again, bend if needed. Take that leg extended back up to the sky. I'm gonna keep the back of my hips really anchored onto the mat, and I reach my leg down, circle and stack. So when we come into a single leg circle, we're looking to create, again, mobility through the hip itself, but also stability through my core, through that opposing left hip and glute. Let's take about 3 more. Good, that last one, pause, catch hands behind the back of the hamstring, curl up head, chest, and shoulders, and walk the hands maybe up just a little bit higher. We're gonna get quick core engagement here. I float my left leg, and then switch, and switch. Trying to feel that engagement, not only of a little bit of pull of the arms, but again, the upper abs are lifting my shoulders off of the mat. Good, continue to switch here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the head and shoulders. Keep this right leg extended. You're gonna take the hands back down. We're gonna go opposite leg direction. So we circle out, go down and up. Circle out, down and up. Good, 2 more. And then that last one, and we lower all the way down. It might even feel like your right leg is like a touch longer than your left, but don't worry, we'll get that squared away. So right leg can stay long, or remember, you can bend the knee if that feels more comfortable for your back. Let's try to take that left leg straight up to the sky. We're gonna go down, circle, stacking back up. And sometimes if you're having a hard time keeping the hips more anchored, taking a hand or even just like a light connection of your fingers onto the opposing hip can just be a little bit of a feedback of like, oh, right, I'm keeping my hip down. Okay, we'll take it again just for these last 3. Good, we reach for 2. Catch it, hold it on the next one. Hands go behind the hamstring. Curl up head, chest, and shoulders. We're gonna try to bring that stretch again and that core contraction. We switch and switch. Good, we're here just for a few more times. Again, trying to feel like our chest is lifted so it's less strain on the neck. For 3, 2, on 1, bring that left leg back in. Relax your head down, relax the right leg down. Let's switch directions. We're now gonna go out wide, down and up. Out wide, down and up. Whenever I do this in my brain, I'm like, I hope that's opposite. Sometimes I already forget, y'all. Good, one more. And then take the foot down. Bend your knees. Take those feet to about the width of the mat. And your arms can even open out wide, out to a T. We're just gonna take a quick windshield wiper before we move on. So again, mobilizing through those hips. We're just trying to strengthen. Get a nice little rotation there through your spine. All right, let's go ahead. Reach our arms, reach our legs long. Take a nice big breath in. And then circle the arms, nod the chin to chest. Roll all the way up and take a quick forward fold. That could be hands to your feet, your ankles, even just along the sides onto your mat. All right, now as we pop ourselves up onto our hands and knees, we'll come down onto our forearms. So once you're on that forearm connection, keep the left knee down underneath the hip, and we're gonna start again with that right leg. So let's just go into some simple lift and lowers again. We lift the leg and tap it back down. Notice again, when you're lifting your leg, you're not letting your back significantly arch. We want to keep those abs nice and tight as we also have pressure down underneath the forearms. All right, we're going to take this again just a few more times. Get a little bit more focus in that core and hip connection. After these last 3, we go for 2. Lift and hold the leg on 1. I'm gonna keep my left forearm down, but prop up onto this right arm that's extended. Slightly open up through the hip, and now we lower and lift. So we're getting just a little different angle there through the hip and glute. We'll keep ourselves on this left forearm for a few more moments. We have one more variation here. It's good, stay with me for 4, 3, 2, now this next time, lift and hold it. Take the knee up towards that elbow. So again, trying to feel into not only the mobility of the hip, but good core engagement. Good, last 3. Keep it up, keep breathing. And that last one, we reach and then take the knee down. When you press yourself up straight arms, I'm gonna have you step your right foot forward, scoot your left knee back just a touch, and we're gonna take a quick little yogi stretch before we move on. So we shift the hands behind the back, lift up through the heart, let those hands just drape down along that back leg. So we get all that stretch actually across the front of the left hip. Don't worry, we'll get the right in just a moment. The hands now will come down to the ground. Heel to your right foot a little wider, right hand onto the knee, left hand more center of the mat. Roll the hip open, gaze over the shoulder. And take just a nice soft breath in and out. All right, we're back down onto those forearms, back down onto our knees. We're gonna take the other side.
So left leg extends, tapping the toes down, lifting back up with control. So we're getting that engagement back into our glutes, back into the upper body, back into our core. All of this is supporting and mobilizing through that hip socket as well. We'll take just a few more of the lift and lowers. Remember, we have that slight angle coming up after 3, 2, last one, stay lifted. Prop yourself up onto that left arm, right forearm stays down. We're gonna tap the toes down, lift the leg. Now you can play with this, whether it's a point of the foot, sometimes a flex of the foot will feel like a different kind of sensation, especially up by that hip and glute. Good, here for those last 3. We reach for 2, hold on the next one. Take the knee in towards that tricep, in towards the elbow. When I kick my leg back up, I'm reaching on that high angle. It's like I'm trying to kick up to where the ceiling and wall meet. Or in my brain, that's what I'm thinking at least. Good, here we go. 3. Reach for 2. Reach for 1, hold, and then take the knee down. Nice job. When you prop yourself back up onto those knees, we step now our left foot forward. Right knee can scooch back again, just as we did on the other side. Hands go behind the back again. Lift your chest, lift your heart. Open up across the front of the right hip and quad. Good, hands will come down. Walk your left foot a little wider to the edge of the mat as my left hand comes on top of the knee, right hand more center. I'm gonna roll the hip open. As I'm doing that, my right hip is also pulling forward. So again, we're still keeping with that stretch on not only the left hip, but also the right. Okay, let's take the knees back down. Quick down dog, quick pedal of the feet, lifting those hips up, letting your head just kind of shake, hang heavy in between those shoulders. All right, from here, we're gonna walk the feet towards the hands, and then I want you to stay in your fold. Let's heel toe those feet wide, slight turn out of the toes. We're gonna drop down into what's called our malasana, our squat. So this is a deeper angle position. You're gonna feel pressure through the backs of those triceps, pushing into the inside of the knees. The knees are pushing back. Now, if this feels like too deep for you, you're coming to rest your forearms onto your thighs. You could even sit on a block or a bolster. So if you have those things handy, if that would make this experience more comfortable, please snag it. Chest is open. And we're gonna hold here just for a few extra breaths. Almost there. And then hands will dangle down to the ground. Lift your seat up. Heel toe your feet right back underneath those hips. And then last time, just give the head a little shake. Scoop through those abdominals and we roll back up through the spine. Couple shoulder rolls up and down the back to finish today. Just kind of take notice of that subtle heat, the opening, maybe where you felt pressure and you feel a sense of release, or maybe you're like, man, I need to do that again. It's here for you whenever you need it. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time.